Hello everybody. Well, I've returned from the UK. I was over there preparing accounts and submissions to the Charity Commission for next year, and it's business that had to be done. Very frustrating because getting anything done online these days becomes more and more complicated, or so it seems. But I've returned and very little has changed. Whilst I was away, and of course I was in constant contact with the boys here, you will see that not only have donkeys come in the most appalling conditions, but we took a horse from south of Safi, which is on the Atlantic coast. A horse came in from close to Tangier. A huge operation, and you will have seen all about that on social media. I did have a comment from one person because I had been approached about a donkey in Tangier that was really very badly injured, and I knew from what I was told it would have to be euthanized. And I suggested the person concerned that she would contact a vet and we would be prepared to pay the vet's bill. Very kindly, my friend up at SFT in Tangier arranged it, but somebody chose to post on my page that although we were a long way away, at least we could have tried to recover it. You know, those sort of things just drive you round the bend. But here we are, because the reality is we're taking equines from all over Morocco and the situation is getting worse. And Ayub told me, he's not here today, but he told me yesterday before he went, he said another donkey was on the way down and there were two mares that he had to take in from Marrakesh, and there is good reason why, but I'll go into that at a later date. And then I had a phone call this morning from someone who had seen a stallion being very badly beaten and had actually bought the stallion off the owner and wants to bring it here. Now, of course, we don't turn animals away. And I'm not going to say we're going to limit our work like an awful lot of people are doing at the moment. Oh, we can't do any more because we don't have the funds. You never hear me say that. We have built more stables. You know, I've taken on the local administrators. I'll take on anyone, but we have built more stables. They're full already. We are building some more up in the top field, and I'll show you those on a video very soon. But what I would ask you, I'm going to ask you two things. Firstly, I hope those of you that do support us will recognise that if I'm not going to give up because we can't do any more, we are going to have to grow. There's only one of two choices. You either end up overloaded and end up having to close down, or leaving animals out there in distress, or you have to grow. And there's absolutely no point saying to people in Morocco, please set up a refuge such as ours for equines, because the difference between equines and a lot of the other animals, particularly the horses, they need stables, they need an awful lot of water, an awful lot of food has to be brought in. They're big, strong animals. You need staff who are able to deal with these animals. And we're privileged that we were able to do that because, as most of you know, we owned our land and invested everything we have into growing the refuge. So my way forward always is to grow, and it's possible. There is, we won our legal case over our piste. There is land the other side of our piste that we could build a bridge over to if we could afford to buy that land. There's lots we could do, and therefore we're going to have to up our game. We can't just rely on personal donations. So those of you, I want you to spread the word who can maybe approach companies or whatever, because we've got to do it. There's no one else doing it. Some charities will say they rescue dogs and cats and horses and donkeys, but if you go behind and have a look, they've maybe got a horse and a couple of donkeys, or certainly less than half a dozen. There's a very good charity both up at SFT in Tangier and Michelle Orsberger down in Agadir, who I have huge regard for, and they have some equines, but they're the first to admit that they couldn't cope with the number that we've got. And also we take those that are in the worst possible state imaginable, and I can't say often enough how amazing my men have been to see these animals through. So That's the first thing. And the second thing I think is extremely serious. At times of poverty or recovering from poverty, you see a growth in scams. Now, I'm sure you'll see it if you bank online, the wording, the warnings you're constantly getting, or even through Facebook and any social media. And the scams are alive and well. I was very sorry to see that a charity down just outside Agadir called Moroccan Animal Aid, who do an enormous amount of work for stray dogs and cats, and they do have some equines, discovered that a rogue website had been set up that was full of their details, their pictures, and even the location was the same as theirs. Only, of course, money they were collecting was going somewhere else. Thankfully, they managed to get that closed down. So I'm going to tell you this, and I will put a link, I think. I'll think about this very carefully. But I was sent a link of a Cozy Tup, I think they're called, one of these charitable collecting agencies, who'd set up an account for a woman who lives in Switzerland. And the woman in Switzerland had been to Marrakesh, had met a Moroccan woman here who I do know quite well, and had seen the state of the horses, and she had a picture of one horse that this Moroccan woman did rescue but took to Spanner, and was so mortified by what she was seeing on TikTok, she is now collecting to help equines in Marrakesh. I can say this with my hand on my heart. There is nowhere in Marrakesh for those animals to go in any number apart from us on the local authority pound, which they keep at the slaughterhouse. So before people get caught into making those donations, you need to be very clear about where they're going. And I have spoken to some other charities here in Morocco very recently, and they're also very concerned because valuable work they've been doing over a period of time is being undermined by people setting up what I think are scam accounts, quite honestly. I'm sure the woman in Switzerland didn't intend to be scamming, but she's been taken in completely, because if the money's coming into Morocco, it's certainly not going to where the horses are being saved. Spanner is there, and Spanner have their own donation system, and I don't think I need to go into that. And so do we. And I've talked about that lots of times. But I emphasize again, for any of those scammers looking at this or hearing what I am saying, it is illegal to bring money that is in the form of donations into the country unless it's to a registered charity and disclosed every month to the government. Now, I'm not getting at some people who may take a few dogs and cats and do a lot in the community, and people do send them some money if they visited. I'm not talking about that sort of thing. I'm talking about when it's formalised and is actually put out on the internet under what should be a regulatory body, saying they are raising money to save equines in Marrakesh. I can take my camera around here tomorrow and show you where the equines are. And you know very well that any money that comes to us comes through our dedicated website. I think that's all I want to say now, because I am really quite concerned about it, and I'm very sorry for the people in Agadir who were being scammed as well. We always have to be alert to what is going on. And of course, I'm interested in your comments. So we will speak again soon. Bye for now.